Welcome to a new week here on the Retirement Quick Tips podcast, and happy 2025. I have taken a few weeks off from recording new episodes and it feels like forever. I'm like, how do I do this? How does this microphone work? I don't know. Well, I'm glad you're here, especially in the new year. And if you are 5 to 10 years on either side of retirement and looking for some daily quick tips to help you on your path to and through retirement, I'm your guide, Ashley Micciche. I've been a financial advisor for 17 years, and I've helped hundreds of clients carve out their own unique roadmap to retirement. I'm also the co-owner of True North Retirement Advisors, a fee-only financial advisory practice managing over $400 million in assets. Now, this week's theme is a little bit different, a little bit unique. I do talk about personal things like my own personal finances from time to time, but I try to not focus so much on me because this podcast is not about me. It's about you and helping you. But I'm hopeful that in the theme this week and talking about 5 expensive things that I bought last year that were worth the splurge, you can take some of the decision-making processes, some of the thought behind why I did what I did and why it was worth the splurge, and apply that to your own life. A story comes to mind that sort of reminds me of this theme. And that was late last year. I was meeting with a new client, and she shared with me that one of the biggest challenges for her was going to be shifting from being a saver to a spender. They're on the cusp of retirement, and they've been aggressive savers and have done a diligent job of saving. And we're pretty worried. And like one of the biggest challenges in their perspective, this husband and wife, especially for the wife, was going to be, well, how do I switch over completely? It's like a complete shift from being a saver to a spender. And this is something that I would say is pretty common, especially for most people who have amassed a good sized nest egg. It's because you were a saver. You didn't hit the jackpot. You didn't work for some big company where you got all this stock. I mean, sometimes those things happen, but in general, it's just the very unsexy saving diligently for decades and investing that and staying the course. And then you end up being able to retire someday. And so it's hard then to stop saving and to shift to spending. I understand this. I get a lot more satisfaction from seeing the dollars accumulate in my own bank account, my own investment accounts. I get way more satisfaction from seeing that than I get from spending money. In fact, as I talked about a few weeks ago when we looked at different money personality types, I often feel guilt about spending money. It doesn't matter. It could be a small little thing. It could be a big, huge thing. I don't enjoy buying things, even things that I really want, or even things that I actually need. So I have to remind myself that it's not just the money spent. It's about enjoying whatever it is that I spend my hard-earned money on. So I thought it would be a good exercise this week to look back at a few things that I bought last year in 2024. Maybe they made me cringe a little. Maybe they even made me cry a little bit when I swiped my card. But in the end, they were totally worth the splurge, and I'm happy to have parted with my dollars. So if you're like me, you tend to lean towards being a saver over a spender, or you have some guilt about spending money, or you think you're going to feel like this rudderless ship in retirement once you stop working and you're faced with withdrawing money from your nest egg and turning over to a spender. I hope that this week's podcast episodes are going to help you think of your own purchases and the ways in which you best can add value, add meaning, add satisfaction to your life, maybe things that save you time, help you create lasting memories with loved ones, some way add meaning and value to your life. Because again, there are trade-offs. The money leaves, so we want to make sure we're spending it on something that is worthwhile. And that's, I think, really the goal with spending money is to use it in a way that adds value. It enhances meaning, satisfaction to our lives. The kinds of purchases that actually do that are unique to each of us. There are things that are objectively bad idea to spend your money on no matter what. And there are things that are a good thing to spend your money on no matter what. But I would say most things, maybe 90%, kind of fall somewhere in the middle. And the key is understanding your values. Actually, that is the hardest part, because in order to make a good decision, is this purchase worth the splurge, especially if it's something expensive? It has to align with our values. So for me, one of my key values, if I'm looking at it in terms of spending decisions or lifestyle, is, does it save me time? Does it increase my life enhancement in some ways, maybe things I get to do with my family, like spending money on experiences, going out to eat with my husband, doing something fun with my kids? Does it enhance bonding with a loved one, whether it's my husband, my kids, family? I do value comfort, which you could argue that that would not be a good thing. Like we shouldn't be so comfort seeking all the time, in my opinion. But I will spend money on things that enhance my comfort. Like I bought these really expensive satin pillowcases and they're amazing and they enhance my comfort and they have other benefits too. But also, I also value long-term financial security much more than I value short-term spending or having fun or buying something. And then the last thing that I value is, as far as spending money, is simplicity. So I really want to make a conscious effort, and I have to work at this, to reject consumerism. So I don't want to spend money on something because it enhances my ego in some way, like buying a purse that has like a designer expensive logo on it. Even though I like some of these purses, personally, it's not something that I would want to do. I would actually be kind of embarrassed to walk around with like a big designer, very expensive purse because I don't want to come across as showy or enhancing my ego in some way. So there's this sort of mental fight that happens, but simplicity is a value that I have personally with how I spend my money. So these are just a few examples. And I know today's episode is getting a little bit long, but I'm going to get into the meat of some of the specific spending decisions that I made and some of the expensive things that I bought. But I wanted to lay the groundwork first on money well spent is something that fits in your budget and aligns with your values. I think that's the good two-part test. But you have to know what your values are first. And I think most people just haven't sat down and thought through or even spent much time figuring out what are my values when it comes to spending money? What are my values when it comes to the kind of lifestyle and why? So I encourage you to think through that because that is going to make sure that you do fulfill two-part test whenever you do make an expensive buying decision. Does it fit within my budget? And if so, does it align with my values? All right, coming back tomorrow, I'm going to talk about something really expensive that I bought in 2024. It's going to shock you. I'm telling you, you would never guess in a million years what it was. It's kind of odd, but you'll have to come back tomorrow and find out what that thing is. My name is Ashley Micciche, and this is the Retirement Quick Tips Podcast.